very good morning to all my dear students. Children, I'm back with the revision for periodic assessment 2. And as you know that tomorrow you're going to write your science exam. And here is the quick revision of the chapter 3, metals and non-metals, children. If you see your 10th board revised syllabus, the metallurgy of metals, that is extraction of metals and the corrosion and the rancidity, the entire part, the last part is deleted from the syllabus, children. So what all we have is we can actually divide the whole chapter into 3 major sections, children. First of all, about metals, their physical properties of metals, their chemical properties of metals, and at the end it is ionic bond, children. So the metal reactivity series or the displacement reactions also come under the chemical properties of substance. Basically, if you see that a very large section is nothing but the properties of metals and non-metals, be it the physical properties or the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. So here also, if you look at the physical and chemical properties, among these also chemical properties are more in number, and this is the place where you have to revise more. That means you have to practice those reactions little more, children. Well, okay. So today we'll quickly go with the revision. Let's start with the physical properties. As you know that the metals and non-metals, they've got contrast physical characteristics. Like if you talk about the luster, if you talk about the density, if you talk about the electrical conductivity and all, the metals are different from non-metals, children. And also if you look at the atomic structure or the valencies, the electrons, distribution of electrons in the atomic orbits also, it is different. Like in the case of metals, you see that usually lesser number of electrons are present in the outermost shell, so that they lose them and become positively charged. And if you see the non-metals, they are more in number, like about 5, 6 or 7 in number, so that they tend to gain electrons and become stable, children. So electronic distribution, nothing but the electronic configurations also are different for metals and non-metals. So that's why it reflects in their valencies. The metals are electropositive in nature. That means they have valencies of the electropositive, nothing but they have plus valencies, because they just lose electrons and become positively charged. And the non-metals are electronegative. That means they gain electrons and they gain negative charge. So here, if you talk about the physical properties, the metals are good conductors of heat and electricity when compared to non-metals, and metals are more denser when compared to non-metals. Okay, with few exceptions. I'll be just sending that handout to you where some exceptions of the physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals with examples there is given. Okay. So coming to the chemical properties over here. Chemical properties, first of all, the reaction of metals with oxygen, reaction of metals with non-metals with oxygen, and reaction of metals with water, reaction of non-metals with water, reaction of metals with acids, reaction of non-metals with acids. All that step by step you have. Please, I've been telling you, please do note down. I will be sending one PDF file with the key notes of this chapter, children. Please go through this notes so that all the important points are given over there. Chemical properties, some important points are given so that you can practice the chemical reactions well. Okay. Talking about the reaction with oxygen, we know that metals, when they react with oxygen, they form metal oxide, right? Metal oxides are formed, and metal oxides are basic in nature. They are basic in nature. The metal oxides of some metals are soluble in water, and that's why they are called as alkalis, right? So like sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, all these are alkalis because they are soluble in water, children. So, metal oxides are basic in nature. How do you find out the basic nature of a compound or a substance? You take indicators, like for example litmus paper. If you dip litmus paper into the solution, if it turns blue, then it is basic in nature. Right, children? So metals form metal oxides which are basic in nature, non-metals form non-metal oxides which are acidic in nature. So the litmus turns red. So non-metal oxides are examples of non-metal oxides are carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide or nitrogen trioxide or nitrogen monoxide, and all these are acidic oxides. Okay children. Talking about their reaction with water. Now here also what you need to do is every chemical property is somewhere or the other related to the metal reactivity series children. You have to mug up or by heart the metal reactivity series and the non-metal reactivity series that I gave to you. Please go through those videos. If you have subscribed to my YouTube channel, you will see all the different videos that I explained to you. Please go through them once again children and know the reactivity series. If you have noted down somewhere, please go through that and learn that reactivity series well, because the chemical properties ultimately depend upon the reactivity series of the metals. If you see reaction of oxygen, the most reactive elements, they react vigorously with oxygen, like the sodium and the phosphate, potassium. Potassium and sodium, they are most reactive elements and they react vigorously with water, and that's the reason why they are not just stored as it is, they are stored under kerosene to avoid the contact with atmospheric oxygens or atmosphere, which contains many gases like oxygen and water vapor too. So that's why, most reactive ones react very vigorously and they catch fire, and the moderately reactive elements, they react moderately with all the other things like oxygen or water. So in similar manner, water, you see, you can understand now that the most reactive elements which are present on top, like the potassium and the sodium, they react vigorously with water too. Very violent reaction. Like if you see, they can even react with cold water also, the most reactive elements. Coming to the next one, like the calcium or the magnesium, they react with hot water. They react with hot water. Calcium also reacts with cold water, but magnesium reacts with hot water, because cold water, it's not so active to react with cold water also. It needs, you have to make the water little hot in order to make it react with magnesium. When it comes to other somewhat moderate to low reactive elements like iron or zinc or aluminium, then you can see that they react with the steam children. They can't react even with hot water also, but they react with the steam here. So here, when metals react with water, two things can be formed. One, metal hydroxide, or another one, metal oxide. Remember one thing, that whenever the most reactive element, very reactive elements, when they react with water, when they react with cold water, they form they form metal hydroxides. They form metal hydroxides. But when the elements react with steam, please remember very well, the metals, when they react with cold waters, they form metal hydroxides. And when the metals react with steam, which is another form of water, steam at high temperatures, then they form metal oxide. That means iron and zinc, they form metal oxides children. Got it children? So mainly iron, it forms metal oxide, and liberated over here, hydrogen gas is liberated children. Okay. So the metals, when they react with acids, they tend to react with dilute acids like hydrochloric acid and nitric acid also. Magnesium and manganese, they both react with nitric acid also and form hydrogen gas and respective salt children. So you have to understand like what atoms are getting involved in the reactions and what could possibly be the products. And then you please check once again regarding the formula and first of all, basic general formula you have to know. Metals reacting with acids produce metal salts and hydrogen gas is released up. So that if you know metal salts, automatically you can get the products. Okay. So as I told you, metal reactivity series is very important for all these chemical reactions. So one more chemical property is nothing but displacement reactions, which is very important for you children, exam point of view children, because they may ask very tricky questions regarding with respect to these chemical displacement reactions. Okay. They may ask you whether the reaction is possible or not, and in which of the following do you think reaction is possible? No reaction or reaction is possible. Which one is the most reactive after seeing all these reactions? Which element do you think is the most reactive? All that such kind of questions will be asked, children. That you have to have an idea of the series. If you don't have any idea about the series, if you don't remember the series in order, then you will lose marks in that. Simply based on simple logic that the most reactive element cannot, the lesser reactive element cannot displace the more reactive element from its compound. That's all. Like if you compare zinc and copper, out of these two, which one will displace another element? So copper, can it displace zinc? No, because zinc is more reactive than copper. That's why copper cannot displace zinc. Okay, and so the reaction will not be possible over there. So in that way, the questions will be asked. Okay, children. Coming to the next very important concept from the lesson is ionic bond, children. Ionic bond also, in order to know this, again you have to have a proper idea of the electropositive nature of the metals and electronegative nature of the non-metals also. Because as I told you, ions, what are ions? They are electrically charged species of atoms, nothing but the atoms with some electrical charge on it. Like they may have a positive charge or the negative charge depending upon whether they take electrons or they lose electrons, whether they gain electrons or lose electrons. Because protons, we are not bothered about the protons because they are present inside the nucleus. So what makes the atoms, the only electrons can be shared or transferred from one atom to the another because they are only available and outside like in the outer orbits or shells, right? So electrons only can be transmitted. The atom can either lose electrons or gain electrons. So when they lose electrons, they are losing one negative charge. That's why they become positive. And the non-metals, they tend to gain electrons, as I told you, to get that stable configuration. When they gain electrons, they gain an extra negative charge, and that makes them have a net negative charge on them. So metals have positive valencies, nothing but +1, +2 or +3 valencies, and +4 also. And the non-metals have negative valencies like -1, -2 or -3. So depending on that, ionic bond, in order to understand ionic bond, first of all you have to understand these things very importantly. So here, in order to gain stability, why do atoms combine? Already I posted twice this video. Why do atoms combine with each other? Because they need to get that stable configuration. As it is, the atoms are not stable. They get the stable configuration either by losing electrons or by gaining electrons. And if they are losing electrons, they have to give these electrons to some other atoms, so that there will be that's the reason why this leads to the formation of bond. So this results in the formation of ionic bond. This is a kind of bond which results from the transfer of electrons from one atom to another, children. If you take a best example, NaCl, then you can see that sodium, how many electrons does it have in the outermost shell? Its atomic number is 11, no children? 2, 8 and 1. Outermost shell, it has 1 electron, right? So if it loses that 1 electron, it becomes more stable, And chlorine, it has got 17, its atomic number is 17, that means it has 17 electrons which are distributed in its shells. And you can see that the outermost shell contains 2, 8 and the outermost shell contains 7 electrons. So those 7 electrons, if it gets 1 electron, it becomes stable because octet configuration it gets. Outermost shell should contain 8 electrons, children. So if it is easy to lose 1 electron for sodium, and it is easy to gain 1 electron from sodium. So there will be an exchange, not an exchange actually, there will be a transfer of electron from sodium to chlorine, such that sodium loses 1 electron and becomes positively charged, and chlorine gains 1 electron and becomes negatively charged. So now comes the real thing. Positive and negative charges, they have, like the forces forces of electrostatic forces of attraction which hold these two. So these both atoms are held very strongly by the forces of electrostatic forces of attraction between the positively charged atom and the negatively charged atom, such that they are both held together very strongly. That is nothing but ionic bond, children. So ionic bond, in order to represent the formation of an ionic compound, you have to know the electron dot representations of all the elements. It is given in your chapter. Please go through. Once in your chapter, you will have like from 1 to 20 elements. I already told you to write down the electron dot representations of each. Electron dot representation is mainly done to represent the electrons which are present in the outermost shell, children. Okay, like sodium, the electron dot representation is simply 1 dot because it contains 1 electron in its outermost shell, right? So that's how ionic bond is formed, and there are some properties of ionic compounds which I already gave to you. Please refer that also. I'm going to send one handout or nothing but key notes, key points, summary points of from this lesson, and PDF format. In PDF format, I'll be giving one handout also. Please go through that, and do not worry about the metallurgy. It's not there in our syllabus. Okay. So based on these only, based on these concepts, the question answers from your notes, please go through those question answers from your notes which are based on these concepts only. And this time the blueprint and all I'll be sending. The paper is going to be very easy only if you go through all these key summary points, children. Okay, please. Very importantly, chemical properties, all the chemical reactions you please write down. I have been giving you homework in such a way that you prepare yourself, well these chemical properties of metals and metal reactivity series also. Very importantly, an ionic bond also, exam point of view also, it is very, very important, children. Okay, prepare well.